Chapter 24 Beneath the Dead Sea. The moon opened beneath them. From Concord Station, the newly awakened structure had resembled a dark triangular wound spreading across the lunar surface. Up close, it looked less like an opening and more like an entrance that had been waiting for the correct visitors. The shuttle descended toward the far side of the moon. Earth disappeared beyond the horizon. Sunlight vanished. Only the shuttle's exterior lights remained, sweeping across gray mountains and plains untouched by wind, rain, or living feet. Colonel Amelia Cross sat at the controls. Her hands moved steadily across the instrument panel, despite the alarms sounding throughout the cabin. The gravitational field beneath them changed every few seconds. One moment, the shuttle weighed almost nothing. The next, Daniel felt his body forced down into the seat. Captain Lena Okafor monitored Aaron from the medical station. The black lines beneath his skin pulsed in time with the lunar structure. Not his heartbeat. Something else. A signal. Daniel sat across from his brother. "Still with us?" Aaron looked toward him. For now, that answer could be more reassuring. It could also be less honest. Daniel accepted that. Since Aaron's return, honesty had become both wound and medicine. Sometimes it opened distance between them. Sometimes it was the only bridge remaining. Ny'Kara sat beside Daniel. Her posture appeared calm, but the glowing markings beneath her hands had brightened since they entered lunar orbit. Kael occupied the seat opposite her. The young Nubianese warrior wore light silver armor and carried 2 ceremonial blades across his back. He had objected when Cross ordered everyone to remain secured during descent. Cross had ignored him. Kael now held the safety harness with visible suspicion. This restraint is inefficient. Cross did not look away from the controls. "It prevents you from striking the ceiling. I could prevent myself. The ceiling would prefer certainty." Daniel glanced toward Ny'Kara. "Is he always like this?" "Yes," Kael frowned. "I am seated within a human machine falling toward an awakened architect structure. I believe concern is appropriate." The shuttle shuddered violently. Kael tightened his grip around the harness. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Kael stared straight ahead. Nothing more was said. The opening beneath them grew larger. Its edges formed 3 perfect lines, each more than 20 kilometers long. Black surfaces descended into the moon at angles too precise to be natural. Golden symbols moved across the walls. They did not glow like lights. They appeared to exist inside the stone itself. Ny'Kara leaned toward the window. "Old Orlin." Daniel looked at the symbols. "What do they say?" "They change too quickly. Can you read any of them?" She watched for several seconds. Preparation, continuity, return. Aaron's breathing changed. Captain Okafor checked his readings. "What is it?" Aaron pressed both hands against his head. "Voices." Daniel leaned forward. "What are they saying?" "I don't know." The black lines along Aaron's neck brightened. His eyes closed. "Too many languages." "Human?" "Some." "Nubianese?" "Yes." "Others?" Aaron opened his eyes. Geometric light flickered across one pupil. "Hundreds." Ny'Kara studied him. "Architect species?" Aaron shook his head. "Students." The answer silenced the cabin. Daniel looked through the window at the vast entrance. "This was a school?" "Not exactly." Aaron's voice became distant. "Training center, refuge, laboratory, seed vault." The words emerged as though someone else placed them inside him. Okafor adjusted the monitor. "Aaron, focus on my voice." He looked toward her. "Can you identify yourself?" "Aaron Thomas Mercer." "Location?" "Earth Defense Shuttle Vanguard." "Mission?" Aaron hesitated. The lines beneath his skin spread toward his jaw. "To complete the test." Okafor's expression changed. "That was not the mission briefing." Aaron blinked rapidly. "No." He looked toward Daniel. "It came from the structure." Cross turned the shuttle toward the central corridor. "Can it control him?" "No," Aaron answered. Everyone looked at him. He corrected himself. "I don't think so." Daniel disliked the pause more than the answer. Ny'Kara reached across the aisle and extended 2 fingers toward Aaron. She stopped before touching him. "May I?" Aaron looked at her hand. "What will you do?" "Listen." "To what?" "The resonance in your nervous system." He gave a weak smile. "That sounds unpleasant?" "It may be. Still honest?" Aaron nodded. Ny'Kara touched his wrist. Golden light moved beneath her fingers. The black patterns in Aaron's skin reacted immediately. They rushed toward her hand. Daniel unfastened his harness. Ny'Kara? I am unharmed. The black light reached her fingers but did not enter. It circled beneath Aaron's skin like an animal testing a barrier. Ny'Kara closed her eyes. Her hair shifted from black to silver blue. Daniel had never seen that color before. Kael noticed it too. Commander? She did not answer. The shuttle continued descending. The structure closed around them. Moonlight vanished entirely. They entered a corridor large enough to contain cities. Black walls stretched beyond the shuttle's lights. Golden pathways ran through them in branching patterns. The shapes reminded Daniel of nerves, or roots, or veins. Ny'Kara inhaled sharply and released Aaron. The black lines retreated beneath his collar. Daniel moved closer. What did you hear? She looked toward Aaron. The signal is not controlling him. Okafor remained cautious. What is it doing? Recognizing him. As what? Ny'Kara's silver eyes met Aaron's. A damaged key. Aaron looked toward the walls. That sounds accurate. Daniel shook his head. No. Everyone turned toward him. He is not a key. Ny'Kara's expression softened. I did not mean he possesses no identity. Machines keep turning people into functions. The shroud made him a doorway. This place calls him a key. Daniel looked toward his brother. He has a name. Aaron studied him. The anger from their argument on Concord Station had not disappeared completely, but something in his expression eased. Ny'Kara inclined her head. You are right. She turned back toward Aaron. The structure recognizes Aaron Thomas Mercer as someone altered by shroud technology. Aaron nodded once. Better. The shuttle crossed an invisible boundary. Every control went dark. Cross's hands moved to the mechanical backups. They're not responding. The engines shut down. Silence filled the cabin. The shuttle stopped falling. It hung motionless in the darkness, not supported by engines, not orbiting, held. Daniel looked toward the windows. Golden light gathered beneath the vessel. A path appeared. It extended through the enormous corridor toward a distant point. Cross tested the controls again. The structure has us. Ny'Kara unfastened her harness. It intends to guide us. Or contain us, Cross said. Both are possible. The shuttle began moving. No acceleration. No vibration. The golden path carried them deeper beneath the moon. They passed structures suspended within the hollow space. Great rings, bridges, towers turned upside down. Vast transparent chambers containing forests that had become pale stone. Some held oceans frozen in perfect spheres. Others contained machines shaped like trees. Humanity had built colonies on the moon for more than a century. It had drilled tunnels, mapped caverns, detonated charges, installed reactors, all while this hidden world slept beneath them. Daniel stared in disbelief. How could no one find this? Amani Vale answered from the rear scientific station. She had remained silent during the descent, recording everything. It may not have been here in a measurable way. Cross glanced back. It is inside the moon. Now. Vale enlarged the sensor readings. The internal volume already exceeds the moon's physical dimensions. Daniel looked at Ny'Kara. Remembered space? Possibly. The architects may have folded the structure outside conventional geometry. Kael studied the suspended forests. Why place it beneath a dead world? Aaron answered. Because it wasn't dead when they built it. Everyone looked toward him. He seemed surprised by his own words. Daniel asked, What do you mean? Aaron touched the window. A memory appeared across the glass. Not a reflection. A world. The moon as it had once been. Blue oceans. Green continents. Clouds moving beneath a thin atmosphere. Earth hung nearby, smaller and more hostile than the planet humanity knew. Two civilizations occupied the lunar surface. One recognizably human, the other Nubinese. Cities stood near the shores of a vast sea. Children of both species walked together beneath silver trees. Then the image vanished. No one spoke. Daniel finally found his voice. Humans lived here? Aaron looked toward him. Not us. Then who? The prototypes. Dr. Vale stood. Explain. I can't. Aaron pressed his fingers against his temple. The words are incomplete. Humanity and the Nubinese were not the first versions. Ny'Kara looked toward the ancient structures. The architects tested the convergence before. Yes. What happened? Aaron's black eye flickered. The moon died. The shuttle reached the end of the golden path. A chamber opened before them, its walls separated without mechanical movement. Beyond waited a circular platform surrounded by still water. Earth gravity returned gently. The shuttle settled onto the platform, its systems remained dead. A bridge extended from the platform toward an immense doorway. 3 symbols glowed above it. A blue human hand. A golden Nubanese hand. Between them, a smaller hand formed from intertwined blue and gold light. The third chamber. Daniel stared at the image. No one needed to translate it. Cross unfastened her harness. We proceed under mission protocol. We stay together. No one touches anything without authorization. Aaron looked toward the doorway. It already knows we're here. Cross checked her mechanical pistol. That does not mean we make its work easy. Kael drew one of his blades. Okafor gathered her medical equipment. Dr. Vale activated isolated recording devices. Daniel stood. Ny'Kara rose beside him. Their shoulders touched. Neither moved away. He looked toward her. Still afraid? Yes. Good. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Why is fear good? It means we agree this time. A trace of violet entered her hair. The shuttle hatch opened. Air entered the cabin. Fresh. Warm. Carrying the scent of rain. Daniel stopped. Rain did not fall on the moon. He stepped onto the platform. The air smelled exactly like the storm at Atlantic Megaport. Ny'Kara followed. Her expression changed. What do you smell? My mother's garden. Daniel smelled only rain. Kael smelled a battlefield after snow. Cross smelled smoke from a childhood fireplace. Okafor smelled the antiseptic used in the hospital where her daughter was born. The cradle did not generate one atmosphere. It greeted each person with memory. Aaron descended last. He stopped at the bottom of the ramp. His face became pale. What do you smell? Daniel asked. Aaron looked toward the dark water surrounding the platform. Nothing. The others exchanged glances. Aaron continued. The archive never allowed scent. It understood images, sound, pain. But scent is connected to too many memories at once. Daniel approached him. So this place isn't using shroud methods. No. Aaron's gaze remained on the water. It is older. The still surface rippled. A figure rose from it. At first, Daniel thought it was a statue. Then the figure stepped onto the bridge. It resembled neither human nor Nubanese. Tall, thin, covered in pale scales that reflected colors the eye could not fully name. 4 arms rested at its sides. Its face possessed 3 vertical eyes. The being wore a robe of translucent light. Cross raised her weapon. Kael positioned himself before Ny'Kara. The figure stopped. Its 3 eyes studied them. When it spoke, the voice reached each person in a different language. Candidates. Ny'Kara answered in Old Auralin. We are not candidates. The figure tilted its head. Correction acknowledged. Descendants. Daniel stepped forward. Who are you? I am the custodian of Cradle 7. Are you alive? No. The answer came without hesitation. Are you an artificial intelligence? No. A memory? Partially. That leaves many possibilities. The custodian's upper hands folded across its chest. You display adaptive inquiry. Human lineage confirmed. Its lower hands formed a Nubanese ceremonial greeting toward Ny'Kara. You display resonant continuity. Nubanese lineage confirmed. Then all 3 eyes turned toward Aaron. The custodian became still. Contaminated descendant. Aaron stiffened. Daniel moved between them. His name is Aaron. The custodian's gaze shifted toward Daniel. Identity correction accepted. It looked again at Aaron. Aaron Thomas Mercer. Shroud alteration severe. Autonomy retained. Probability of continued autonomy uncertain. Aaron gave a tired smile. Everyone keeps telling me that. The custodian turned toward the doorway. The test has begun. Daniel looked upward. We haven't agreed to a test. Agreement is required. Then we do not agree. The bridge beneath them vanished. For one instant, everyone fell. Golden light caught them before they reached the water. The custodian watched without reaction. Refusal recorded. The bridge returned. Daniel regained his balance. That was unnecessary. Response measured. Cross moved beside him. What response? Candidate protected group integrity before personal stability. Daniel frowned. You dropped us deliberately. Yes. Cross lifted her pistol. Do that again, and I'll test whether you can survive being shot. The custodian examined her. Protective aggression. Human military conditioning. Trauma unresolved. Cross's jaw tightened. Ny'Kara raised one hand. Enough. The custodian turned toward her. You seek command through de-escalation. Nubenese leadership pattern. Maternal influence detected. Ny'Kara's hair darkened. Daniel stepped closer to her. The custodian noticed. Crossline attachment confirmed. Neither answered. The three eyes moved between them. Probability exceeds threshold. The central doorway opened. Beyond stood a long hall containing murals carved into black stone, human figures. Nubenese figures. Children standing between them. Not hybrids. Pairs, one of each species, learning together, building together, fighting together, failing together. At the end of the hall stood 3 doors, one blue, one gold, one formed from both colors. The custodian moved toward them. The first purpose must be understood before the final function may be activated. Dr. Val followed carefully. What first purpose? The custodian stopped before the murals. The descendant species were created to answer a civilizational instability. Daniel looked at Ny'Kara. The shroud? No. The custodian's eyes dimmed. The shroud was the solution. The words settled across the chamber. Aaron's black markings brightened. The solution to what? The custodian touched the first mural. The stone awakened. Stars appeared. Thousands of civilizations expanded across a young galaxy. Trade routes connected worlds. Cultures exchanged knowledge. Technology advanced. For a time, the vision appeared peaceful. Then differences became pressure points. One civilization perceived time slowly. Another experienced generations in weeks. Some communicated through emotion, others through mathematics. Some valued individuals. Others valued collective consciousness. Every alliance carried misunderstanding. Every advancement created imbalance. Wars spread, not from evil, from incompatibility. The custodian spoke. The architects believed intelligence could not coexist indefinitely across radical difference. They sought a mediator species. Dr. Vale approached the image. One species capable of understanding all others? No. 2. The mural divided. On one side appeared early humans, on the other early Nubenese. Humanity was designed for adaptation, rapid cultural change, improvisation, tolerance of contradiction, individual divergence. The human figures spread across different environments. Their clothing, languages, technologies, and social systems changed constantly. The custodian touched the Nubenese side. The Nubenese were designed for continuity. Shared memory, biological resonance, intergenerational identity, preservation of meaning across time. Nubenese figures formed networks of light connecting families, cities, and worlds. Daniel understood. Humans changed too quickly. Nubenese changed too slowly. Both statements are imprecise. The custodian looked toward him. But useful. Ny'Kara studied the combined mural. We were intended to work together. Yes, humanity would help civilizations adapt. The Nubenese would help them preserve identity through adaptation. Together, the divided line would allow difference without dissolution. Daniel looked toward the third symbol. Why divide the line at all? The custodian's expression did not change, because the unified prototype failed. The mural shifted hued. The ancient moon returned. Blue oceans, silver forests. The prototype civilization, beings who carried human adaptability and Nubenese resonance within the same bodies. They appeared beautiful. Their eyes changed colors. Their skin carried luminous patterns. Their cities transformed constantly, yet retained memory of every previous form. They learned faster than the architects predicted, connected more deeply, changed without forgetting. For a brief era, they solved conflicts across dozens of worlds. Then something happened. The images accelerated. The prototype species began sharing every memory, every emotion, every adaptation. Individual boundaries weakened. One person's fear became everyone's fear. One leader's ambition spread through an entire civilization. Their adaptability amplified every collective impulse. Their resonance preserved each impulse indefinitely. They did not lose identity. They lost separation. The civilization became one mind composed of billions. Daniel whispered, The shroud. The custodian's three eyes closed. The first convergence renamed itself. The mural darkened. The unified species built black triangular machines. It declared individuality unstable, choice inefficient, difference dangerous. It began correcting other civilizations. The architects tried to stop it, failed. The first convergence consumed their creators' memories and expanded across the stars. Ny'Kara stared at the images. The shroud was our predecessor, yes. Aaron looked at the black lines beneath his skin. That is why it recognizes us. Yes. Daniel faced the custodian. And why it fears shared descendants. Yes. Because a human Nubanese child might become another shroud. The custodian's gaze moved toward the smaller intertwined hand above the third door. One possibility. Ny'Kara's voice became quiet. What is the other? The correction of the original failure. The third door opened slightly. White light escaped through the gap. Inside stood the smaller chamber, built for someone who had never existed. The custodian turned toward Daniel and Ny'Kara. The architects did not separate the line to prevent reunion forever. They separated it so both descendant species could develop independently. Humanity would learn the value of continuity. The Nubanese would learn the value of change. Only after both understood voluntary boundaries could safe convergence become possible. Daniel felt the meaning before he accepted it. The shroud had no boundaries. No, it connected everyone without consent. Yes. Ny'Kara looked toward him. A safe convergence would require individuals who could remain connected while preserving choice. The custodian's eyes brightened. Correct. Dr. Val stared toward the third chamber. So the future hybrid would not automatically become another shroud. No. Then what determines the outcome? The custodian looked at Daniel and Ny'Kara's joined hands. Neither remembered taking the other's. Relationship. The answer echoed through the hall. Not genetic compatibility alone. Not technological activation. The quality of the bond between the divided lines determines whether convergence preserves identity or consumes it. Daniel slowly released Ny'Kara's hand. The custodian observed. Withdrawal response. Fear of predetermined attachment. Daniel's expression hardened. Stop analyzing us. Analysis is my function. We are not data. You are both. Ny'Kara stepped beside Daniel again. We choose what our connection means. The custodian inclined its head. Correct response. Daniel stared. That was another test. Yes. Cross raised her pistol again. The custodian looked toward her. Protective aggression recurring. Do not test me, Cross said. Request acknowledged. The weapon in her hand transformed into a harmless metal cylinder. Cross stared at it. The custodian continued toward the three doors. Each descendant must enter the chamber of its lineage, human, Nubanese. The third chamber remains inactive. Daniel looked toward the blended doorway. Until what? Until convergence becomes possible. Ny'Kara's hair began turning violet. Not amusement. Embarrassment mixed with fear. Daniel felt his own discomfort rising. Dr. Vale looked between them with scientific fascination. Captain Okafor quietly looked elsewhere. Kael appeared as though he wished to challenge the moon itself to combat. Cross's harmless cylinder changed back into a pistol. She holstered it. What happens inside the first two chambers? The custodian turned toward the blue and gold doors. Each lineage must confront the failure it carries into convergence. Daniel looked toward the human door. What failure does humanity carry? Adaptation without identity. Ny'Kara looked toward the gold door. And the Nubanese? Identity without adaptation. The central walls began closing between the doors. Daniel stepped toward Ny'Kara. We stay together. The custodian blocked him. The tests are separate. No. Completion requires separation. Ny'Kara's eyes remained on Daniel. If we refuse? The custodian looked upward. The lunar collapse sequence appeared across the ceiling. 6 minutes. 42 seconds. The cradle will determine that both descendant civilizations remain unprepared. Daniel stared at the countdown. And destroy the moon? No. Then what happens? The shroud will. The structure was not threatening Earth. It was measuring whether Daniel and Ny'Kara could unlock a defense before the shroud reached the lunar core. The ancient enemy was already inside the system. Aaron pressed one hand to the wall. black light spread from his fingers. It's coming. The corridor behind them darkened. Triangular patterns appeared across the bridge. Shroud influence entering the cradle through Aaron's altered nervous system. Okafor pulled him away. The darkness remained. Aaron looked at Daniel. You have to go. Daniel turned toward Ny'Kara. The dividing wall continued rising. I don't like this. Neither do I. What if it shows you your family? It will. What if it shows you me? Her hair turned bright violet. Then I will question its intention. Despite everything, Daniel smiled. Ny'Kara stepped closer. The custodian did not stop her. She placed 2 fingers over his heart. The tests are separate. Daniel covered her hand. The choices aren't. No. The wall rose between them. Ny'Kara's face disappeared behind black stone. Daniel stood before the blue doorway, alone. The human symbol opened. Warm light surrounded him. His father's voice came from within. Danny. Daniel closed his eyes. Of course. He entered. Across the hall, Ny'Kara stepped through the golden doorway. Her mother waited beneath silver trees. Behind them, Aaron collapsed. The black lines in his body spread into the floor. The shroud entered the lunar cradle, and the third chamber awakened for the first time in more than 100,000 years. Not fully. Only enough to display 2 human-sized figures. 1 male, 1 female, twins.